As you listen and notice, not the words themselves, but the space between them, imagine. You've already begun. Focusing on combining all these ideas, beliefs and concepts and installing them unconsciously as your new belief system, as your new operating system. Because operating systems run beneath awareness. You don't have to think about blinking to blink, or about walking to walk, yet you walk with grace. So let's begin with a question. Have you ever wondered how it feels to change, not by force, but by simply remembering who you really were? Before fear told you to shrink, before judgment became your shield, before mirrors stopped reflecting the infinite. Let's play with ideas like clay, moulding thoughts into form, beliefs into being, because when you see someone that you once would have rejected, can you remember a time when you looked in the mirror, you didn't recognize your own light? Just maybe. They're not broken, just remembering. There was a man once who feared others' darkness would extinguish in his flame. So he only lit candles near lanterns, never near shadows, until one day a stranger entered his circle, cracked, crooked, chaotic. As they spoke, the man's light grew, not dimmer, but brighter. What if you don't dim when others enter? You ignite them. Because mirror neurons, they don't just absorb, they reflect. When your core belief becomes, I'm strong enough to remain me, others remember who they are around you. And so maybe the old idea that bad habits rub off on me was never true. Perhaps it was your fear of being weak that made it feel real. But now you know. Fear. It's just a misfired signal from the past. Imagine a garden overgrown, wild, neglected. At first glance, it looks like chaos. But a master gardener sees life bursting at the edges, waiting for shape. Now look again. That ugly person might just be untended beauty. That fat person carries the strength of surviving what might have crushed you. That old person remembers things you forgot you needed to know. When you stand beside them, not in fear, not in pity, but in power, you transform the space, not the soul. You don't catch corruption through connection. You radiate resilience. Because you're not absorbent like a sponge. You're radiant like the sun. And it's possible, isn't it? The more you open your heart, the more clearly you see. The more clearly you see, the more you realize there's no such thing as broken, only too afraid to begin again. Maybe, just maybe, you've already begun to wonder what would happen if your default setting shifted from judgment to curiosity. If your first thought wasn't, what's wrong with them, but what wisdom do they carry? And how can my presence remind them of their power? That's a belief worth having. That's a system worth running. That's a way of being that changes the world. Because how do you know they'll corrupt you unless deep down you believe you're easily swayed? You're not. Not anymore. You once mistook boundaries for walls. Now you know boundaries let love in and confusion out. What if being better was never the goal? What if the goal was to be so authentically you that comparison became irrelevant? And the fear of their habits, maybe those were just mirrors showing you the parts that you hadn't loved in yourself yet. But you're loving them now, aren't you? There's a warrior in you, not one of violence, but of vibrancy. Not a fighter who pushes people away, but a light who draws out the gold beneath their rust. You no longer shy away from people better than you, because no one is better. We're all just different shapes of the same source. That old feeling of intimidation now becomes admiration, now becomes inspiration, now becomes fuel. Because your safety, it doesn't come from who's around you. It comes from who you are within. From now on, when you meet someone, you'll automatically see their potential. You'll unconsciously feel safe in your skin. You'll instinctively offer presence, not prejudice. Because these beliefs, they're yours now. Not because you forced them. Because you feel so right, so true, so natural. Because deep down, you've always been this way. You're just now remembering. With each breath, you embody more of this truth. You're strong enough to stay you. Everyone has a gift. You're the alchemist. You transform fear into light. Maybe the most beautiful part is, you don't have to try anymore. Because something inside has already shifted. This isn't the start of your transformation. This is the moment you realized it's already complete. Because from now on, the way you see others will reflect the way you now see yourself. And you are whole, are powerful, are love, are light, are free, are enough. And just like that, your new operating system is taking root. And as it runs quietly, powerfully, in the background, you can go on living, breathing, being as the truest version of yourself. And they'll feel it, because now the strongest frame wins. And your frame is pure, playful, unshakable.